Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We do have a quorum, so I'll call the November the 13th Board of Supervisors meeting to order. We have Pastor Derry Campbell from Seventh-day Adventist Church here to do our invocation. Would everyone please stand and remain standing for the pledge.
Our Father in heaven, I thank you for our beautiful community of Wytheville, Wythe County. I thank you for the ways that you have blessed this community. I thank you for these civil servants who have come here to conduct the business of this county, who give their time and energy to serve this community. I pray that you will bless every action and every decision that is made today, that all will be done according to your will and with your blessing. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Here you go, Mr. Jack.
Oh, sorry.
I'll give you time to sign up there.
Deductive is time.
Okay, good evening, and we'll get into our agenda. I'm going to move the citizens' time a little later down the page. Next item is presentation of sports resolution, George Wythe High School golf team. Mr. Lester? Sure.
This is a resolution, Wythe County Resolution 2019-31. It is a resolution honoring the George Wythe High School golf team. Whereas the George Wythe High School golf team completed a remarkable 2019 season, and whereas the George Wythe High School golf team won the Mountain Empire District Tournament and the Region 1C Tournament, and whereas the George Wythe High School golf team advanced to the Virginia High School League's Group 1A State Championship at River Course in Radford, Virginia on October 15, 2019. And whereas the George Wythe High School golf team surpassed the competition, earning George Wythe its fourth Virginia High School League 1A State Golf Championship in 5 years. And whereas the George Wythe High School golf team scored a total of 306, defeating runner-up Central Lunenburg by 46 strokes. And whereas senior Channing Blevins won the Virginia High School League Group 1A Individual Championship with a score of 73, earning him his second individual state championship, and the designation of being named to the 1A All-State Golf Team, along with fellow teammates Daniel Good, Benson Blevins, and Grant Rosenbaum. And whereas junior Daniel Good shot a 74, freshman Benson Blevins a 78, senior Grant Rosenbaum an 81, junior Peyton Coe an 84, and senior Avery Mabe an 88. And whereas the George Wythe High School golf team completed an extraordinary season and displayed outstanding dedication, athletic ability, and sportsmanship. And whereas the Wythe County Board of Supervisors officially commends the 2019 George Wythe High School golf team comprised of Lucas Arnold, Benson Blevins, Channing Blevins, Dylan Booth, Brianne Biggs, Peyton Coe, Daniel Good, Aiden Hunley, Stephen Jackson, Ethan Lester, Avery Mabe, Devin Patel, Peyton Philippi, Owen Repass, Grant Rosenbaum, Tyler Scott, and coaches Johnny Beamer, Danny Southers, Ben Campbell, and Wendy Dove for their exemplary season. Now therefore be it resolved that the Wythe County Board of Supervisors presents this resolution to the George Wythe High School golf team in recognition and appreciation of their achievements, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be incorporated into the official minutes of the Wythe County Board of Supervisors.
Y'all want to go ahead and step
Congratulations.
up? Congratulations. Coaches too.
I entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2019-31.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a
Congratulations.
motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Congratulations.
Okay, we're so excited to see you all again. There you go. There you go. Thank you all. There you go. Thank you. And then I'll make sure you have enough. for
Those
everyone
are
else.
supposed to be for each seat.
Okay, gotcha.
Let's give them all another round of applause. Congratulations, Mr. Daniel.
Just to go on record, again this year, this makes you the winning in
Y'all done
a
a good
Beamer,
job.
Coach Beamer of Wythe County.
Here's
Not
the-
your brother.
Let me know if there's long enough.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, next item, we'll move into citizens' time, and we've had 4 people sign up. Mr. Myers?
Good evening, gentlemen. In light of the recent elections, it's imperative that we protect our Second Amendment rights. There are over 100 counties nationwide and 3 states that are officially Second Amendment gun sanctuaries. I'm asking you on behalf of Wythe County to designate Wythe County as a Second Amendment sanctuary county. I would like you to publish it immediately, and by the next meeting, have our public hearing and a vote. It's imperative that we act before the next swearing in of this legislative session coming in 2020, so we can all make sure we preserve our rights and declare, have no problem declaring the county as Second Amendment sanctuary county. Mr. Voigt has a copy of the Carroll County resolution. It's basically cut and dry. We would just have to change the names and so on, and we hope you can do that expediently and get this ship sailing for us. Thank you.
Dean Walters.
I'm not as polished as all the rest of y'all here, Michael. Okay? This thing, as you all know, I'm Dean Walters. I am the chairman of the Wytheville Friends of the NRA. I am also your vice chair for the whole state of Virginia. This Second Amendment sanctuary does need to be enforced. I just done some figures there just a few minutes ago. The population of Wythe County is approximately right around 28,000. Is that correct?
Hopefully it's not dropped that much, 29,000.
Yeah, but roughly right there in that general census of 28,000. If you take 28,000 people, 90% of them are gun owners. That means if you take that 90% of 28,000, that means you've got 25,200 some people that are actually gun owners. I have been on the phone all day, back and forth. Time I get home tonight, my emails are gonna be completely ballistic because I have connections in Amelia, Powhatan, Washington, Smith, Grayson, Carroll, Pennsylvania, Spotsylvania, all over Virginia. And I dare say that by Friday, there'll be 400,000 people already on board to make their county sanctuary counties. The problem that we have got right here, and I mean, you can look at it through all the elections for the past 20 years. When you go into a scenario, you'll see all of Southwest Virginia be red. Conservatism. We done something tonight out of dignity that we have been raised on. We turned around and had the prayer said to bless this meeting. We in turn turned around and gave our oath to protect that flag. That is embedded in us distinctly. If we start dropping our guard even more to the way that the world is thinking, there is no hope for the United States. It begins here at home, folks. I support a tremendous amount of youngsters all over Virginia teaching gun safety, regulations, and everything like that. Every single one of us have a gun. We can leave that gun laying right there on a table. We can leave it laying right anywhere. That gun is not going to kill somebody until it's the idiot behind it that does it. It's that plain and simple. We definitely need to make a move on this, by all means. Spoke with Gene earlier today. Gene filled me in a little bit about it. One of his friends gave him some information about it. But folks, this is serious, and we need to step up to the plate and drive a home run all the way through. Okay? I thank you for your time. And if I can be of service to any of you, all you gotta do is call me.
Thank you, Dane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Forrest, do you want to speak now or at the public hearing for the, but you signed up for citizen time, so.
Maybe both. At the last board meeting on October the 22nd, Mrs. Kim McKenzie requested revenue and expenditures for the Apex Center. Since the Apex Center is being funded by taxpayer money, I believe that all citizens of Worth County should have this information available free of cost. In the minutes, Supervisor Vaughn responded that any time a citizen requests the information from the board, it becomes a Freedom of Information request. He agrees that $210 an hour for information is ridiculous. He agrees that the information should be readily available to the public. Also in the minutes, the supervisor responded that the way the lease is written, if the authority is unable to make payments, then the board has the right to void the contract and the property improvements revert back to the board. Supervisor Lawson also agreed and hopes the board can come up with a way to make the information more available to the general public. So according to the minutes, two supervisors have stated Apex Financial should be available. Our county administrator said he also will reach out to the Apex and see what reports they can provide without having to create information from their accountants. Since the county is making 100% of the debt payments for 2 years and then 50% of the debt payments for at least another 2 years, I believe the board and the public has a right to accurate and complete financial information of Apex. In the current budget, $200,000 is allocated to cover the loss of the Apex Center. It's been 3 weeks since the meeting. Is this information now available to the public? If so, where can this information be seen? If it's not available, why not, and when will it be available?
Mr. Mr. Chairman, can I make a comment on that?
Yes.
To Stephen, after our last meeting, I spoke to the accountant, I'm friends with her, and I ran into her. We just talked about it a little bit. She told me that the manager at the Apex would soon have access to the software to where you can pull that up for anyone who asks for it, without, them having to go through the whole. Okay, yeah. So I don't know where we're at with that software being downloaded, but
Stephen?
they should have an update.
I'll give a couple bit of information, and Ms. Christina's here as well. At the meeting last week, the chairman did set up a budget committee meeting, which I believe happened yesterday, which the budget committee from the Apex Center met with the accountant firm that they use, got their year-end compilation data that will be able to turn over to the auditors that are doing the audit work on there, and I believe their quarterly report or monthly reports or whatever. So the Apex Authority is meeting at noon tomorrow, and I would welcome you if you'd like, 12:30 tomorrow, 12:30 tomorrow.
Where
If
is
you
the
would-
meeting?
It will be at the Apex Center. If you would like to attend that meeting, I am assuming the information that the committee had will be available for them to review, but that, they do have the financial information now on the software that you were talking about. I know that Mr. Catcher was working with them end of last week, early this week. Software is downloaded, and they will start entering the data. I think there were still some connections on the cloud to be worked out, but that will help out with the information going back and forth there. So that has happened on what you're talking about.
Could not this be on the website, since this is public monies that's being spent? Just a P&L and a balance sheet for each month?
Well, I would recommend you refer that to the board, to the Apex Authority, because that is, they have their website and it is their meeting and their agenda and their items. But they have the ability to share that information.
But their minutes are in the board packages, so could not,
Yeah.
They
Their
used to be
minutes are in
put
the
in
board
the board
package,
package?
yes, and their minutes are also posted on their website.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jack Weaver. Good evening, Jack.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. I'd like to pass out something first for Mike.
We've got that.
It was more behind me.
Oh.
What you got?
Didn't flip far enough, Jack. Didn't flip far enough.
That's all right.
Thank you, Jack.
And I'll give one to.
Did you guys share one? I don't fall.
Thank you for the opportunity to come before you. I too want to talk about the Second Amendment rights and asking you to become a sanctuary city or a sanctuary county for the Second Amendment rights. Now, as you've heard previously, what Carroll County has done, Campbell County has also done the same thing. We here in Wythe County, though, let me give you a little more meat behind some of these things that was said tonight. What I want to talk about is why. There's been so much discussion regarding the subject and where we stand, be it a liberal, be it a conservative, be it an independent, be it a Republican, be it a Democrat, or whatever. And first and foremost is none of those issues. It's a citizens issue versus the state government and the federal government. That's all it is. It's not strictly a politic thing at all. It's an issue between citizens. So we come to you as citizens because you are our voice to Richmond. Richmond is our voice to the governor and the federal government. So I have to work hard at trying to say what is the job of the Board of Supervisors, and that is to carry our message to the General Assembly. But you're also the fiduciary arm for the state government on a local level. One of the recognized scholars of the Second Amendment is Stephen Halbrook. He's written several articles, books on this subject, and he's detailed and very detailed and specific on the subject. And of course, I consider myself pretty well informed on the subject of the Second Amendment. The subject has been the recipient of 3 current Supreme Court rulings: District of Columbia versus Heller, reference Heller 554 U.S. at pages 598 and 599, June 26, 2008. Heller recognized that the right to bear arms was understood at the founding to exist not only for self-defense but also for aid in militia, such as our National Guard, which is our state militia. Many people don't realize that. Our state guard, sometimes you think of that as being a part of the U.S. Army or something, but it's actually, it is our state militia against the federal government. That was the intent of having a state militia. We also, I think even this one from Carroll County, they refer a lot to militia. Of course, let me give you the subject of militia. Militia is any group within any area that wants to form to protect their territory. That is their county, that is their town, that is their city. And that is a constitutional right to do that. More than us thinking of it as a bunch of people wants to get together with guns and shoot them in the air or something or other. So when Carroll County put militia, I think that if I was on a board of supervisors, I would add, most importantly, independent right to bear arms, in addition to being militia right to bear arms. Now, as I say, there's been three different ones. This Halper court decision, I mean, it specifically says we have as individuals to bear arms to protect our hearth and home. And then we can go to McDonald versus City of Chicago, 130 SCF 3020 in 2010, which further ruling identifies individual rights to bear arms. Then in the United States versus Mascardino, 638 F3 3D, pages 458 to 468, Fourth Circuit Court, further solidifies the defense of self, family, and property to be most acute in the home and hearth. Now, here's where we are tonight. First and foremost, we must recognize the purpose and intent of the Board of Supervisors that I've given to you. And so we're coming before you now to say, look, let's vote on this thing. Let's make Wythe County also, as Campbell County has done and also as Carroll County has done, to solidify our rights to be a sanctuary county on the right to bear arms. I'm asking you to vote and pass a resolution defending the citizens of Wythe County in securing their constitutional rights under the Second Amendment to secure and bear arms, as has been done in these previous counties. And I've given to you a sample resolution as used by Carroll County to refer to an issue, a similar resolution. As a matter of fact, it's written up in legalized terms. And about all you have to do is change the bottom part of Carroll County. But I also would like to say include in it individual rights. So that's my one thing on Second Amendment issue. Second thing is, I've come before, not before this board, but I've come before the board of Wythe County for 2 decades now on water. Water from Rural Retreat to Smith County. There's 53 houses, 2 businesses in that area, and it's certainly not going to make money at it. So I know it's never been a priority for Wythe County to do that sort of thing because you probably will lose money. And so we don't do it. But Rural Retreat has agreed that they would do it. So if it's a financial problem for you, if it's other problems, say, do like the English did with the United States and Hong Kong. It's just too much problem. We'll give it away. And so why not give it to Rural Retreat? Let them go through all the expenses and costs. I mean, what are you out of? You're not out of anything, basically. You just got rid of a headache. And so that's my plea to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Okay, next item on our agenda is public hearing, proposed issue of capital improvement bonds. I'll read the notice of the public hearing. Notice is given that the Board of Supervisors of Wythe County, Virginia, will hold a public hearing on the proposed issuance of bonds at one time or from time to time by Wythe County. The estimated maximum amount of the bonds is $3,286,000 in the aggregate. The purpose, use of the proceeds for such bonds is to pay for costs of capital improvements for the county including but not limited to water and sewer facilities, road improvements, unmarketable site development or improvements, Apex Center improvements including a barn, parking, lighting, bathroom facilities, and appurtenances. That's how you say that word. The public hearing will be made, the public hearing which may be continued or adjourned, and at which persons may appear and present their views on the proposed bond issuance, will be held at 7:05 or as soon thereafter, as the matter may be heard on November 11th, November 13th, 2019, before the board in the boardroom of the County Administration Building located at 340 South 6th Street, Louisville, Virginia, by orders of the Wythe County Board of Supervisors, Stephen D. Barrett, County Administrator. You want to summarize?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to. The proposed bond issuance in the aggregate is made up of three separate parts, and I will start with the lowest amount going to the largest. The first amount is $286,000. This is proposed funding through rural development for water improvements for Ricky Road down in the Lead Mines District. We have received approval of funding for rural development for that project. It does provide, I don't remember exactly the number of citizens it provides, but there is a manufactured home park out there that has had difficulty with water, and it extends water out to them. The second is $1 million for capital improvements at the Apex Center. This is primarily be used for the barn. You all previously passed a refunding resolution on that to cover expenses with the barn, and also for the parking lot improvements, lighting, electrical improvements, etc. The next, and if Martha will flip to the next page, $2 million is proposed to be issued to create 5 lots and a state-maintained road from Chapman Road up to the Apex facility. This will extend public water and public sewer to these lots and will result in the creation of 5 marketable lots to be sold to retail, commercial developments along the 8177 corridor.
Thank you, Stephen. I'll open the floor now for public comments. Speaking as an individual, you have 5 minutes. Speaking as a group, you have 10. And I don't think we've had anybody sign up for the public hearing, but I will open the floor and give anybody that wants to come and speak the opportunity to come and speak.
I'd just
Mr.
like to
Weaver?
make a comment on it.
Yes.
I hear you talk about taking water to speculative lots. And here we said on US 11, that's non-speculative. And we have a need. We have a need up through there with water. And particularly if people in Gross Close knew what kind of a bind they're in, should water not come from Marion, they would probably hang everybody here. Because basically, we're sitting there dry. I mean, I have good water myself. I'm getting over 50 gallons a minute. But for us not to take care of that distance and we go put water elsewhere, including speculative lots, to me is unacceptable.
Well, we're working on that end up there too at the time. We'll see what happens, Jack, but we are working on
Been
that.
doing it for 20 years. Working.
Anybody else? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing.
I think we,
Oh,
do we have one in the back? Sorry, I didn't know if you saw her.
I'm Wilma Justice, and most people know who I am because I complain a lot. But I feel that you need to probably try to hold off on it maybe till the new board comes in. And one thing is, most people feel like I do. There's so much money already been put into the Apex Center. And especially these lots in particular, maybe hold off on that, but the other, you know, you ought to reconsider it. Because the county, we taxpayers can't keep affording to put more money into it. and also support the Second Amendment bill too. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Forrest?
I agree with the lady that just spoke. We should not keep putting money into this. We spent over $10 million on the Apex Center already. The original budgets was around $6 million to complete the entire thing. We have maybe half to two-thirds of it completed, over budget from the original projections. And we're throwing another $3 million into the center or related areas around that. I think it ought to wait to the new board. That board is going to be responsible for paying that back. That's only a month and a week or two from now. And let them make this decision rather than make it on this board to hand it off to them. They have to live with this decision.
Thank you, Mr. Forrest. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Next item on the agenda is the payment of invoices. I entertain a motion to approve.
Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is any invoice any board member would like to pull out or have any questions of? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Vaught?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
The chairman votes aye. Next item is the minutes of our previous meeting of October the 22nd, 2019. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any changes or corrections need to be made to the minutes? Here none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
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 And, Chair would abstain. I was not here at the last meeting. Next item is old business, conflict of interest policy.
Mr. Chairman, I just put this back on the agenda. No action was taken at the last meeting. County attorney and I have been working on revised language. I have been working also with the auditors on the language of the conflict of interest, and plan on having that to you by our day meeting for consideration. Mr. Vaught is correct. As far as the conflict of interest policy, all board members are covered by, or under the code, the Conflict of Interest Act. Federal grants are requiring us to have a written conflict of interest policy for those handling federal grants and addressing federal grants. So that is the reason why we are having to adopt a policy. And I've been also talking to the school board because they were going through several things. Anybody that's dealing with federal awards, federal grants, has to adopt similar policies. So we should have this on the agenda for your next meeting.
Wait just a second. Martha, the conflict of interest training, which is supposed to be done by December the 31st, even if you're going off the board, how many has completed? The clerk is supposed to get confirmation from the Ethics Council. Okay. Yes, Jeff.
Stephen, Mr. Vaught and I had one issue with that. We just heard folks say that we need to add some additional strength to the Constitution, both federal and state. And all we ask that we incorporate those two state statutes into our resolution. I think without the state statutes being called out in it, it's bare bones. It couldn't stand. But if we reference the state statutes, it only gives it more body and more meaning. How hard is that to do? You agree, Mr. Vaught?
That was, there's no reference to the state code, and it talks about if, somebody has a problem to report to the county administrator, the board chair. I'm more concerned about somebody reporting to the Commonwealth attorney. Just reference the code section where you can be charged with a crime, and then we're good. That's you know. That was my problem with it. There, you know,
We just didn't want to have a conflict between state code and the policy.
I mean, just put in there that board members will follow Virginia code, whatever it is, and, I mean, be done with it.
Well, question there is how can we pass something that's not in concurrence with the state code? We can't.
Yeah, and that was not the goal. The goal was just to establish a written policy.
Okay.
That was it.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Move on into new business, Economic Development Committee report.
The Economic Development Committee met on November 7th, 2019, and recommends accepting the extension of the CDBG grant, our contract for the Progress Park Lot 20 project from October 19th, 2019 to April 30th, 2020.
Mr. Barrow, I want you to summarize this, where everybody understand what we're talking about.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, basically, we received a CDBG grant for extension of sewer for the Lot 20 project. Since that project has not yet started construction, we have not undertaken any expenses to install the sewer. This is to just move the date of this sewer grant out to match the date of the performance grant of the company.
Okay, I entertain a motion. Come from the Economic Development Committee, doesn't need a second. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Vaught?
Aye.
All right,
The chair votes aye. Next item is the Tobacco Region Revitalization Commission Grant Agreement.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, you skipped one,
Oh,
Community Policy Management Team
Okay.
appointment, if you don't mind.
yes.
And instead of me speaking, since Ms. Kim Ayers is with us tonight, I will be glad to let her come up and briefly speak, and she may want to introduce you to someone as well.
Ms. Ayers?
Good evening.
That's what happens when you come, we put you on the spot.
Yep.
First, I'd like to introduce Ms. Sonia Ramsey. Ms. Ramsey is our new CSA coordinator for Wood County. She will be,
Excuse me, what's CSA? Thank you.
put me on the spot. The Comprehensive Services Act. Here, each locality is responsible for pool funding of certain mandated services for Wood County kids, and our agency is the fiscal agent for that. As such, we employ someone who coordinates the meetings, helps process the payments, and so forth. Each locality does it a little bit differently, and that's how we do it here in Witt. Ms. Ramsey comes to us with almost 30 years of experience in finance and administration from another locality, so we're very excited to have her on board here with us.
Welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Happy to be here. What we are specifically asking for today is the appointment of Ms. Jennifer Willis as a parent representative to the Community Policy and Management Team. By code, we're required to have a parent representative at the FAPT team level and at the CPMT level. We had a vacancy upon the resignation of Ms. Gretchen Robinson in September. And Ms. Willis has a child in the school system, and she has agreed to serve in this capacity.
Anyone have any questions? Ms. Ayers?
I would like to thank Ms. Ayers, and it's been a pleasure having Ms. Ramsey on board. CPMT deals with very difficult situations and also very highly costly situations with some of the situations we're dealing with. And as staff, their staff always works real hard to try to maximize non-local dollars first before the local dollars go into it. Southwest Virginia in general is beginning to see an increase in CSA cost. A lot of that attributable to the opioid situation and its effect on the kids in the special education program and things like that. So it is imperative that we continue working to try to manage those costs as best we can, and they do a good job of that.
is
Okay.
that a state-funded position?
What, Mr.
Is
Hill?
that a state-funded position?
It would be a blend of state, local, and federal dollars, as she is a DSS employee.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would recommend a motion to appoint Ms. Jennifer Willis to the CPMT.
Okay, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Have a second.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So appointed.
Thank you. I have a question.
Yes.
Who will Ms. Willis need to contact regarding her conflict of interest paperwork that she will need to complete before the meeting? Will
Ms.
that be
Collins.
Ms. Marshall?
Typically Ms. Collins can assist with that, in the process.
Okay.
But typically, most of that has also gone to Ms. Ramsey's
Okay.
position in the past as well, because it's been, I think they wanted to have a copy of it also.
Okay. So does it originate out of your
We
office,
can work
or
with
we-
Ms. Collins will work with you on getting that information.
Okay, great. Our next meeting is the 26th, and we hope to have her on board for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, the Tobacco Region Revitalization Commission Grant Agreement. Mr. Burr?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, on October 10th, the Tobacco Revitalization Commission approved a $100,000 matching grant for construction of the Apex Ancillary Building. This is the building that consists of bathrooms and the livestock wash racks that will be adjacent to the utility barn that is under contract. It is a matching grant, so staff will be doing all they can to make certain that we are staying within and possibly under the budget to cover that. But we need to take action to approve the grant agreement.
Okay, I entertain a motion to approve the grant agreement.
So moved.
Have a second. Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Stephen, would you please remind everyone of how much the utility barn is going to cost, just an approximate amount? What the
Utility
bid was?
barn, I want to say the total price on it for the building alone is 700 and, I want to say 32,000. I believe it's 700,000 on it.
Because even though this is 100,000 of basically free money, it's still only
Yeah.
a dent in a very expensive utility
Yeah,
barn.
now, we have already received $200,000 towards that barn and also $50,000 towards that barn from the Farm Bureau as well. That goes towards that.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
All right.
No,
Aye.
No.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item is the Ricky Road Project Bond Resolution.
Thank you, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, stepping ahead here. Mr. Chairman, this is the resolution for the $286,000 I referenced earlier for the rural development bond. Since you have now held your public hearing, I recommend approval of this resolution.
Entertain a motion to approve. Does it have a number?
It does not have a number, this is the rural development resolution.
Okay. Have a motion, have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other question or comments? Hear none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Vaught?
Aye.
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 All right.
The chair votes aye. Next item is the Fort Chiswell Pump Station Generator Project Budget.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have included a memo in here, and due to time, I did not have time for it to go to Water and Wastewater Committee. The request that you have before you is to amend and appropriate $36,052 to this project. This is a grant that we received $115,000 from for the Fort Chiswell Pump Station. This includes additional cost along for installation of the pad and the electrical work to go with the generator. We exceeded our initial budget, which was a few years old in what we've had. I have talked to Mr. Sutherland at the town of Withfield because this is, the pump station benefits both of us, and so we will be sending a invoice to them when this project's done for their 50% share of the cost. But I do need 100% appropriation to our budget to finish this project out.
Okay, I entertain a motion to amend and appropriate the $36,052.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Stephen, I've got a question. Does that money also cover the telemetry that will bring those pumps online anytime they're needed if the pressure drops?
And actually, all of that is already there, but this will be when this will just be when the power goes out. This generator will kick on to power that, which will keep the same thing going on.
Okay, thank you.
This money come out of the wastewater?
Yes. I mean, out of water. It's water.
Water.
I'm sorry, water.
Any other comments or questions?
I have a quick question. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Have we moved on to other yet?
No.
Or do we need to vote on that? I'm
We
sorry.
got a vote.
We got to vote on
I
this.
skipped
yeah.
that part.
Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't want to go into closed session before I could ask a question.
Okay, hearing nothing else, no other discussion, do a roll call vote. Mr. Vaughn?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
The chair votes aye. Now, we're down to other. Mr. Byers, anything else to bring before the board before we go into closed session?
I do not have any additional items, sir.
Does any board member have anything to bring from the board?
Mr. Chairman, and we've had several people speak tonight, I don't think, based on our rules of procedure, we can move forward on this. Correct me if I'm wrong, because we don't have this resolution typed up in, with county's name. But I would ask Mr. Baer to prepare this resolution about the Second Amendment sanctuary county and place it on the agenda for our next meeting for action.
Well, I think we need to have a discussion, and I'm all for the support of the Second Amendment. I don't like sanctuary. I don't like sanctuary for illegal aliens or anybody else. I'm gonna ask our county attorney, we have the Constitution, Virginia Constitution, U.S. Constitution, and any laws that the General Assembly passed, we have to abide by them. Am I not correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I do support a resolution going to the Speaker of the House, supporting the Second Amendment and supporting gun rights of the citizens of Wythe County, but I'll hear from the rest of the board, but I just don't like the word sanctuary.
Sanctuary makes it binding.
Well, I think the major part of the resolution that I agree with is we're not going to expend any county funds, regardless of what the General Assembly says, to violate people's Second Amendment rights. And that's, however you word it, that's the part of it that I agree with.
Well, I think if something that the General Assembly passes that violates our Second Amendment rights, I think we ought to take it to court to uphold our Second Amendment rights.
It's going to happen. And it's going to happen soon, so.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what we need to be thinking about. What, if they do pass something at the General Assembly, what's our next step onto that?
The next step's approved the next.
It's very explicit in the Constitution, and the Supreme Court has voted on it 3 times.
Jack, we're the home of the Fincastle resolutions.
Pardon me?
We're the home of the Fincastle resolutions.
That's right.
And if anybody here doesn't know what that means, I'll talk about it for an hour for you. And then, who wrote those very amendments that we're talking about? Virginia did. They weren't in the Yankee Constitution that come from New England. They were added by Virginia.
They were,
And we've all took an oath to defend that Constitution.
and Madison said it well in the Federalist Papers.
That's exactly right. Thank you.
Okay, I'd turn it over to Mr. Baird to have a draft resolution prepared for our next board meeting. Okay, Is anybody else got anything to bring forward the board at this time?
Mr. Ball, take the word, say, "I don't know." Too many times people come and talk to us and they say, I didn't hear anything back, so I just wanted to go ahead and give them an idea. And I realize we're not prepared tonight, but give them an idea of what's next.
I agree.
Yep. Okay, I entertain a motion to go into closed session under Code of Virginia, Section 2.2-3711A5, discussion of prospective industry, and Section 2.2-3711A7, consultation with legal counsel. Do I have a second?
Second.
Entertain a motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Have a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? You're gonna read certification.
Whereas the Worth County Board of Supervisors has convened a closed meeting on this day pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Worth County Board of Supervisors that such a meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Worth County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the Worth County Board of Supervisors.
Have a second on certifying the resolution.
Second.
Any other discussion? Do a roll call vote, Mr. Horning.
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye. Anybody got anything else, Ms. Lawson?
Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, to bring this up at the very last minute, but to be honest with you, I forgot about it. Stephen, the lead lines rescue, we were in a little bit of conversation at our last fire rescue meeting about their stretchers. I will just refresh everyone's memory real quick. I sent an email out a couple weeks ago. Let's see here. They've been trying to raise money to fund their stretchers. The stretchers they currently have are approximately 10 years old, and they're manual stretchers. The power stretchers are standard for EMS, and that they are hoping that Worth County can help them purchase. Here's a little bit of a breakdown, and these are just approximate numbers. They currently have around $24,000 in grant money, $2,500 that they've raised from fundraising. That's total $26,500, which leaves approximately $11,000 that needs to be funded. They're asking Worth County to help with that. It's kind of an urgent matter because these stretchers go up about $3,000 on November 15th.
How much did you say they wanted Worth County to put in?
$11,000.
11,000.
Yes, sir. The prices of the stretchers are going up on November 15th. And we had mentioned to them, Stephen, and I'm sorry, this is my fault because I didn't. Yeah, we had mentioned to them that we didn't do it last meeting because it was the night before that we would talk about tonight, and it just hit me.
What do they got in their money right now? Left.
Would you go and grab, underneath my desk, the monthly expenditure report?
I should have waited till last minute.
Are these stretchers a want or a need?
They're a need.
They're a need.
I'd like to speak to that, Gene. You're not gonna like the answer, but we've heard it on the Fire and Rescue Committee for months now. Max Meadows Fire Department is not answering their assist calls. And if we got an overweight person and you got two qualified young women out there and they got Mr. Ball or myself to lift and put in the ambulance or bring down steps, they can't do it. And the fire department, and I think Ms. Lawson will bear this out, has made it clear that they want a paid fire department. And it might be a work slowdown that they don't respond to these calls. And these, Bland County's had them for years on all their ambulances. They're electric over hydraulic, and they'll help them get down steps. They'll help them over rough terrain. And it's just another needed piece of equipment that I don't agree with the chairman that we ought to take this out of their funding.
Well, I'm not saying that.
We've got other savings out of this past fiscal year that we could, y'all could move some money to take care of $11,000.
Well, and following up on what Joe said, I actually had occasion week before last, Lead Mines answered a Wythe County rollover call here in town. I just happened upon them, and it's a situation that you just described, and it was on a hill. And so I got to experience the stretcher they're using, and it was all that three of us could do to load the lady on the stretcher, keep it from rolling down the hill, and then get her in the back of that ambulance. But I will say, to take up from my end of the county, Rural Retreat's been working on this and trying to get one. They need one because of the nursing home and the number of bariatric patients is what they call it. And of course, there was some leftover funds from their budget last year, and they're probably going to be coming asking to use some of those leftover funds to purchase one.
How much do they cost a
Those-
piece?
About $36,000 total.
A piece?
No, for the ones they need. They're gonna put them on.
How many do they need?
Well,
They gonna put one on every truck?
No, I think they're putting them on the two new boxes, aren't they?
I believe so.
But their grant will go away. That was my concern, that we lose the grant. Stephen, I didn't make that last meeting. I was in the hospital when y'all met the last time.
They had a discount on them if we ordered them before.
Before November 15th,
Yeah.
yeah.
Does that still stand?
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up just now, because I had forgotten the urgency of it, to let them know something by November the 15th.
And I don't know how much they're going up in the process. It's also the sales tactic used, and what the sales are putting out there, they probably are going up. Brian's right with, there was, I don't know if Lead Mines had a direct request to the, with Blood Foundation this time or not. Rural Retreat had a request in for the bariatric stretcher that didn't get funded with county may, I don't know what theirs was in for, but, none of those got funded.
I don't think, I'm pretty sure theirs wasn't with land. It was with a state, some type of state funding.
Do you all, just throwing this idea out there, do you all want to go ahead and make a decision for Lead Mines tonight and then look at Rural Retreat also? Because I
don't know when they're gonna come and ask for it. I just know that they've needed one for a
They
while.
do need it.
Right now, Wythe County does not have a bariatric stretcher in the entire county.
Well-
And some of the people, I've seen them take out of Carrington Place, it's almost a safety issue. But what do you do?
And I heard about it, and I meant to contact them to have them go ahead and put their request in to Curtis, because that's what they need to have, and then Curtis can look at the money that's budgeted and bring up the request and stuff, and I didn't get that. I forgot about it, but you're right,
I
they
forgot
mentioned
about
it. But I would recommend the rest of you, if you hear of them, like a Rural Retreat, whatever, have them go ahead and put the request in through Curtis, and we can get it to Budget Committee, and look at doing it, because you're right. Rural Retreat's looking at money for it and for the, if they get an ambulance grant in the process. It is a need, it's a need in probably all three of them.
Well, let's go ahead and entertain a motion to amend and appropriate $11,000 just out of the general fund and just get it done. And then we'll look at,
The other two.
yeah,
Chairman, I'll make that motion.
have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to amend $11,000 to Lebanon Rescue Squad for the purchase of whatever, geriatric stretchers. Any discussion? Hear none, do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Do you want to bring up go ahead and take up the bond issuance?
Basically, we will be working with the bond council and with Baco BML Finance on finalization. I gave you all a memo just so you all understood tonight what the proposed interest rates were that we were looking at. 20 years is definitely a fixed rate, the 3.18% and the 4.03%. I really like when it says 10 years there, keep in mind that is a 20-year issuance, but it's a 10-year reset on that. So that's the rate for 10 years, and then you have to
Could
go
be
out and
higher
see
or
what
lower.
the rates are at that point in time in the process. So you know exactly what you've got with the one. But I really like those 2.48, 3.14% rates. But they just had gotten the quotes in today. This is just a rough number, and they will be formalizing, making a recommendation opinion, and I'll be bringing that to our budget committee then next week for action by the board at the next meeting and the formal documents to go with it.
So it's divided out in taxable and untaxable?
They did. They issued the whole thing as a taxable just to see what it was. They did it, splitting the two up just to see what we could say, the difference between taxable and untaxable. And basically, that takes off the water and the sewer and like the roads and things like that are definitely non-taxable. It doesn't tie you up if you sell the lots or anything else.
So is that what your suggestion we do?
I recommend going with the 725 and the 2.275, taxable and non-taxable in the process, and we'll be getting all of those recommendations from them. But, it did make us, you know.
So you're
Slight
saying the
difference.
road and the water, 725 is all that's gonna cost?
It may be a little more than that, but that was when they took the estimates of everything that was out there and determined what they felt comfortable that you could make as being tax exempt and what would possibly tie it into the lots and other things, and that was the figure that was developed. So,
Well, Stephen, in that 20-year scenario, I can't get my head around it, that extra 10 years is not gonna cost any more than that. What am I not understanding
well,
there?
basically, what you're looking at there is it's amortized out over 20, but this is what you would be paying for 10 years.
Right,
$201,000.
I understand that part.
And so then at the end of 10 years, you still owe, and I'll just make it 1.5 million. We'll say half of it's paid off in 10 years, you owe 1.5 million. Then you refinance, you have like a balloon payment due that you're refinancing. Whether interest rates are 2% at that time or 6% at that time, then it would be refinanced over the remaining 10 years at the going interest rate.
Yeah, whatever it is, 10 years from now.
Now.
So there's
thing
a
that I would
gamble
throw
there.
in on that is, the goal would be, if you sell a lot, $400,000, you're gonna turn around and pay down $400,000.
Right.
So, you could be, if you sell all the lots, you could end up paying this whole thing off before you even get
has everything, is the engineering and everything completed, and have you seen the,
It is not completed. I did talk to them about that, last week. They were finalizing the engineering with VDOT on the turn lanes down there, and that was the only thing left that I was aware of.
Has VDOT waived off of southbound turn lane?
That's what the discussion was on, that's the last time.
That's the money part right there.
It is.
okay. Has anybody else got anything? Hearing none, we're adjourned.